Welcome back to Lift You Up Inspiring Health Stories. I'm your host, Tamika Bickham. I'm the founder and chief storyteller of TB Media Group, but for the purpose of this podcast, I am your health and happiness matchmaker. Now, before I introduce you to today's guest, you know what I'm going to ask you to do? Go ahead, hit subscribe on YouTube, turn on those notifications, and please connect with me on LinkedIn because I'd love to stay connected with you. Now, today we are speaking with Manny L. He works in a Fortune 500 in process automation. You might be thinking, well, what does that have to do with health and happiness? Well, as you could imagine, working in big corporate companies, at one point, he went through burnout, wasn't eating right, was feeling sluggish. So that inspired his business, Heaven's Pantry, an all-natural energy bar. You don't want to miss his story. Our physical, mental, and emotional health is not just a want. It is a need for happy lives and prosperous businesses. Lift You Up is the podcast where we share inspiring health stories from business owners who are fulfilling their purpose to live their healthiest lives and helping you do the same. From former TV reporter to marketing entrepreneur and content creator, I care about sharing stories that matter and stories that connect us. I'm your host, Tamika Bickham, your health and wellness matchmaker. All right, well, today I'm so excited to meet and introduce all of you to Manny L, who is, I think you mentioned, in North Carolina.
Yep.
Welcome to the show.
The Queen City, to be exact, in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And look, he's bringing his radio voice, podcast voice, ready to be interviewed. Look at you. You got a great tone there. Talking about making a difference, your career. Tell me about, you are the co-founder, is that right, of Heaven's Pantry?
Yes, I am.
Tell us about Heaven's Pantry.
You know, so when I started Heaven's Pantry, I was working in the world of consulting. I was working externally, and I pretty much spent my whole entire career in a mixture of consulting roles, both external and also in-house as well. I've grown to really enjoy the in-house work because when you're in-house, you get to stick with these people for a few years. You get to stick with these teams, and you get to see the fruits of your labor come into fruition, blossom, and you build these long-lasting relationships with the people who you serve on a daily basis. If you don't see that they have that kind of passion, well, how can you make their job a little bit more enjoyable so that they have that kind of passion?
Yeah.
So
your passion was ignited in consulting roles or in, Fortune 500 companies where
absolutely,
you're working in internal teams, which is what you actually still do now. You still have a full-time job.
Absolutely. And earlier in my career, I was working in a top 4 consultancy. The hours were absolutely grueling. So I was working probably close to 70, 80 hours a week during the peak times. So just to give you some reference, during the winter time, I literally did not see daylight. So I would be out of my house at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock a.m. to beat the traffic. I would commute an hour to my client, and I would get there at 9, something like that. If the traffic's really bad, maybe 9:30. And then I would also be staying at the office till 11 o'clock. One of the perks of that job was that they gave you free coffee. I'm a huge coffee connoisseur. To this day, I can still distinguish the different flavors and different brews, different batches, different methods of making coffee. I'm a huge coffee connoisseur because of that perk. But there was one
They're
dreaded
like,
problem.
Hey, we want you to work 13, 14 hours a day, but you
get free coffee, so it's all worth it, right? I'll tell you one thing, okay? I met a lot of really good friends at that job. The coffee did not make things worth it, but I'll tell you what made things worth it. Making this guy over here, the chocolate ExcaliBar. So this actually came out of my consulting days. That coffee that they would give us for free, great coffee, delicious. That nitro Starbucks cold brew, that was starting to get popular when I was a first year consultant. But I'll tell you the problem with that kind of stuff. You have it, you feel good for a few hours, and then you crash. You have another one, and then you go home. You can't fall asleep, and the cycle of of sleep deprivation continues over and over and over and over again until your body finally falls apart. So when I was going through that grind of being a first year consultant, man, my sacred study time, I did not have the energy to do it. I did not
Mm-hmm.
have the energy to do it. I was very lethargic on the way to work, on the way back to work, and
Mm.
and midday, I just realized, wait, where did all my motivation, where did all my drive, where did all my energy go? And I I felt like I was in a rut and just going through the motions. And that's when I realized that,
That's kind of, this sounds like burnout.
yeah, so like your diet,
Totally.
your sleep habits, your exercise habits, your well-being, that has so much correlation with your performance, with your feeling of wellness and mental health as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
100%. So that's when it dawned on me, hey, I need to make some changes in what I was eating. I need to make some changes in what I was putting in my body. And that's how the Excalibar came out, because my ExcaliBar uh, was formulated in a way that can give me that boost of energy without having the dreaded midday crash. So that's why I think it's
Right.
an ideal snack bar for busy professionals.
So that really prompted you to say, hey, I want to create something because I want something healthy. I need something. I'm busy. I'm not, packing up all these meals every day, all the time. And I want something that's going to provide nutrients and also help keep my energy up. So this is really where the idea came from.
Absolutely. So that's definitely a driving factor of the formulation of our recipe.
And when did this all start coming together for you? About 2 years ago, you said?
So this actually even further than that. So this was many years ago. We used to cut these bars up by hand. So
And who's we?
me and my co-founder Rob. So we would cut these up by hand, and it was literally just a recipe that he had in his kitchen, and we were like, whoa, this is freaking good. And then and it's also not very perishable, so you can store it for a good amount of time as well. It's not
Hmm.
like it's not like a, I don't know, like a ham and cheese sandwich where you leave it out for a few days and it's no longer good. It's more it's more of like a product that can stand the test of time. And when you're ready for a little boost of energy, you eat it and boom, you're ready to go back to work. I'm really proud of the fact that we did not cut any corners when it comes to the ingredients. I'm not going to name names. What I will say is that a lot of snack bar companies love adding artificial ingredients to their
Absolutely.
to their bars, and I completely understand why. It all boils down to economics at the end of the day. It all
Mm-hmm.
boils down to economics. But that's not really how I like to do things. If I make a little bit less money, then so be it. I I I like my field of work. I have no problem working that for another 5, 10 years. If that's if that's what it's going to take to do this the right way, the proper way, and the honest way. And I refuse to cut any corners with the ingredients, even if it means I have slightly, worse margins. If it means that I make a little bit less money, if the shelf life is a little bit lower, as long as I can provide the customers the same satisfaction and the same benefit in their life that I have gained from that bar when my friend used to cut them up with me. And that literally stopped me from crashing throughout the day. And I really think that being able to make a market difference in the lives of my consumers and impact their lives for the better, that means more to me than any dollar amounts would ever mean. Early on in my career, I was chasing the big bucks, and then I didn't really have a good deal of passion for what I did, and I wasn't able to find my passion. And even though the track was there for me to move up the ranks, I saw like a clear path upwards. The passion wasn't there, and that's when it finally dawned on me. You have to do what you love. You have to do
Mm-hmm.
what the love, and then the money's going to come later. If you don't do what you're
Exactly.
if you don't do what you love, you probably won't perform well enough to clear the big bucks. And even if you do perform well enough to clear the big bucks, what meaning does it have in your life if you're miserable and not enjoying what you do? So from that time on, I decided till the end of time, it's not about the cash anymore. It's about making a genuine difference in this world. It's about leaving the world better than you found it, and making a positive impact on the lives of those around you. Number one, I think, the most important thing that we have in our lives is our honor, our dignity, and our reputation. Number one.
Mm.
Number two. Number two. I just really think that not only is this the right thing to do ethically, it's good business. It's great business because that's one of the best ways you can do to differentiate yourselves in a crowded, saturated market where there's a lot of competitors. So my six
Mm-hmm.
ingredients are the following: cashews, almonds, cocoa powder, dates, sea salt, and then coconut oil. Every single ingredient has a purpose. Every single ingredient was put there for a purpose. I did not add any ingredients for the sake of adding ingredients. And one thing I really want to credit is actually my upbringing and my parents
Mm.
for the creation of this bar. And I'll tell you exactly why. Um, Growing up, as in many typical Asian households, academics, learning was really stressed.
Mm.
And I was really fortunate that, yes, academics, sound learning, and also scholasticism, that was really impressed upon me ever since I was really young. But I was
Mm.
also given, but I also credit my upbringing to the creativity that I had today. My father was always a little bit of a maverick, um, just a very colorful, creative guy. Definitely on the introverted side, but always full of really interesting, fascinating ideas. Just an extremely well-read and intelligent guy. And
Mm-hmm.
when he used to make sure that I got my homework done, he would give me a big bowl of nuts and fruits, and he was like, "Hey, you're not to leave this room until you got your homework done for the day. You're not going outside. You're not playing computer games. You are getting this done." And then afterwards, you can do whatever the heck you want to do. That sense of industriousness definitely, stuck with me for the rest of my life. That there's certain obligations, there's certain responsibilities that you that like that you had to do before you enjoyed your leisure time, before you enjoyed your recreational time. But I years later I asked him, "Hey, so the fruit and the nuts, right? Like, what was the whole point of that?" And like and then he told me, "Hey, so these nuts, okay, these nuts are the ultimate brain food." And I was probably in grade school when I asked him what was the whole point of that. So these nuts,
You were quite the inquisitive kid.
I always got in trouble for asking questions. I still remember when I was in second grade, I got written up, and like my teachers called my parents at school, and they were like, "Hey, this your son is a very bright and promising future, but he's not going to get very far in life if you keep asking questions." And like, and then later on in life, I realized that they
Wrong.
were dead wrong, because
Yeah.
like my entire career, both as a Fortune 500 senior leader and an entrepreneur, has been based off of asking questions towards everything, always challenging the status quo, asking if there's a
Mm-hmm.
better way to do things. And like, I think that I definitely think that asking those questions got me to where I am today.
Absolutely. I think we have that in common as a journalist. I mean, even my friends today are like, Meeks, you ask so many questions, right? Like, it makes,
I mean,
that's
I'm,
how you
I'm definitely going to
learn.
be asking you a lot of questions later as well. but but the fruits and nuts, right? My father told me these nuts that I put in the bowl, so the almonds, the cashews, the walnuts, they are. He explained to me and broke down how, like, your brain runs on certain fuels, these fatty acids, and he told me that the reason why he put those nuts in the bowl was because that's literally the kind of fuel that is powering the engine that we use to perceive the world. And then my father always told me that the fruits provided a short-term burst of energy, like that
Yep.
knock you back on your feet and get you ready to think again. And then the nuts, that's like your long burn kind of fuel. So the fruits get you a little bit of a instant boost, and then the nuts is the long burn fuel that allows you to power on through your day and get on through your daily activities.
You
So
have
cashews, almonds,
almonds.
long-term boost of energy, powers your brain.
Yeah.
Dates, great for performance fuel. If you're feeling a little bit sluggish, oh, those things will wake you up. Cocoa powder. If you're looking at health benefits, right? Cocoa powder is actually shown to improve circulation as well. And the mind is just a giant neural meshwork of neurons and also blood flow, blood vessels, and arteries as well. It's the cocoa that allows the arteries to expand and allow the blood to pump to the brain a little bit better. And once again, I'll issue my standard disclaimer. This product this product is not meant to diagnose, treat, or screen any illnesses. Just a standard FDA disclaimer.
Absolutely.
But but if you look at the medical literature, okay, if you look at the medical literature, there actually are a lot of studies linking cocoa to better blood flow, and having good blood flow to the brain is very crucial for cognitive performance. Let's go over the salt now. The salt is actually put there. Very we have a very pure form of sea salt, but the salt is really there to act as a all natural preservative. The salt allows me to give the bar. It doesn't have an amazing shelf life compared to a Snickers bar or a you know or a Reese's bar. But what it does have is that it does prevent the bar from going bad. Coconut oils also have some really healthy fatty acids in them, and the coconut oil allows us to have like a little bit of a smoother, moister texture without
Mm-hmm.
having to resort to artificial ingredients
Right.
or hydrogenated fats once again. And now I think it's time for me to share with the world, what he did for us when we were younger. So this is, I dedicate this Excalibar to my father as well.
Oh. And thanks for breaking down what's in it. I mean, that's so helpful. It sounds great. I'm sure people still might be like, "Huh, how does this taste like a brownie?" But I'm super interested to see. And do you feel like, because you talked about purpose, you talked about passion to start off with, you're in a different type of role in your day job. It might seem, from the outside, like, hey, you're going out on a whim, like you said, in a very competitive space, creating a bar that's probably a little bit more expensive to create because of the ingredients that you have. Why are you doing this?
I'm doing this because I actually think that working at a Fortune 500, I think that actually better equips me to do this than if I didn't work my job during the daytime. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that working in a corporate environment allows me to develop more empathy and more understanding of what a lot of professionals want, a lot of what professionals desire,
Mm.
and their dietary preferences as well. That's definitely a huge factor. Another reason why I'm still in my current field is that I see a lot of the same principles. So in the world of process automation, you're trying to ask people questions about how you can make things better. It's a
Mm-hmm.
blend between technology, and it's a blend between people
Yes.
and processes as
Very true.
well. And a lot of the
Because there's a
same,
balance. There's a balance between
yeah,
what you can automate. Certain things should be, but then
and
certain
certain things
things
should not.
need. Absolutely, absolutely.
And I've fought many battles, convincing people that like certain things should not be automated. Like
Yeah.
even though it went against my self-interests, I always believe in acting in the best interests of your stakeholders and your clients.
Mm-hmm.
That, that's
Yeah.
that's that's one guiding tenet and principle that I'll never give up no matter where I go. But one of my favorite things is that it really allows me to see. what's at the forefront of technology. So there's a piece of tech called robotic process automation. Robotic process automation it is a low code tool that
Mm-hmm.
allows you to imitate what a human is doing. So for example, let's say every time an invoice comes, right, to you, you want to extract the data, you want to extract the fields, you want to plop it into a system of record or some sort of centralized database storing all the receipts of the invoices. Maybe in the past you would have like five accountants punching in the invoices on
Mm-hmm.
that system. But wait, you have really smart people. They're trained as accountants. They have like they they're
Right.
probably they're
Shouldn't be
definitely
doing
working
data
below their
entry. Right.
exactly. They're working below their potential as human beings. So why don't we figure out a way to do that with this technology and then once you automate that process, you can redeploy those headcount into different departments, allowing them to truly shine to the best of their potential. And
Mm-hmm.
in Heaven's Pantry, I
And
actually
you
did use
probably decrease the amount of like human error that could
yeah,
happen in like re-entering
absolutely.
numbers as well.
One of my proudest moments in Heaven's Pantry was when I was able to write my own robotic process automation script that allow that allowed us to pull up leads of potential customers that fit our customer profile. Because the last thing I want to do is waste people's time who don't,
Right.
who everyone has a busy life. I want to be respectful of people's time. I don't want to hit up a bunch of stores that have nothing to do with our demographic or
Right.
don't represent the kinds of people who might be interested in these. And
Absolutely.
that script that I wrote allowed us to just really save people's time all around.
I'm curious, how is health and wellness a part of your life?
Health and wellness has always been a huge part of my life because
Yeah.
if there's one thing that we can take away from this podcast, it's that the human body is one interconnected meshwork. It is truly one interconnected meshwork, and I say this because um, we are a sum of thousands of different unique parts. Actually, more like millions and billions, but we are a sum of billions of unique parts working together as one. And you are only as strong as the weakest link in your chain. Number one, I think it's really important to have days where you just completely disconnect. And you know, I'm I have a lot of friends who are like, wait, why do you take so long to reply to texts? Why are you not the most responsive on this certain day? And I always say, hey, you're a great friend. I'm doing what I need to do to mentally recharge, and you need your time to decompress. You need your time to unwind. Never let anyone take that time away from you. That is that is one tip that I have for health and wellness. Number
Mm-hmm.
number two, I think diet is very important. I think it's and this is definitely stressed ever since I was a young kid. My parents, will always will always leave junk food out of the house. I was definitely
Same.
taught that meant you have a
Because
good
otherwise,
upbringing as well.
because otherwise, between me and my mom, who loves some ice cream, like if it's in the house, we're gonna eat it.
Oh yeah,
It
oh
can't
yeah.
be.
And,
It
and then I,
can't
and then
be
I discovered
around.
Halo Top. And then I discovered Halo Top.
That's pretty good.
But what you put in your body is so important.
Yeah.
So but I also think a really toxic thing that the current diet industry has is a lot of people like to go nuts and follow cult diets. I'm 100% against
Mm-hmm.
crazy cult diets, and you know I have a good friend who's like on a huge rant saying, "Hey man, you can't have this one little thing, man." And then he completely misses the whole big picture. But sometimes I think stressing out mentally over avoiding this one thing actually causes more health detriment than it actually um, than health benefits. So
Mm.
let's say let's say you were absolutely bent on avoiding I don't know, let's say sugars at all cost, okay? Um, and let's say your friend invites you to their birthday party, and then and offers you a slice of cake, and you know obviously I always believe in saying no if you don't want to eat something. But let's say you really were craving cake that week and you haven't had any junk food. It is
Yeah.
perfectly okay to, for the sake of your mental health, okay, to have that slice of cake instead of driving yourself nuts. So when it comes to diet, and I like to think of a very good diet, I eat a lot of vegetables. I eat a lot of whole grains. I eat a lot of healthy proteins as well. But I also believe in moderations and not driving yourself nuts over adhering to the perfect diet plan. So
Hmm.
that's one of my
It
principles. And
has
a
to be
lot
sustainable.
100%, because
Yeah.
cult diets, you can never stick with them till the end of time. They just never work. Now, the last thing that I wanted to bring up in terms of health and wellness is that we really need as a society, go outside more, take a
Mm.
walk. Um, Americans have a very low amount of steps that they take every day, and experts actually recommend that you take like 5,000 and 10,000 steps every day.
Mm.
And a lot of times it's because Americans we're on a rush. We're like, hey, we got to get from point A to point B, and people are driving everywhere. And I think that we really need to slow down, walk around, and appreciate the little things in life. Pay attention to nature, and you know, even if you're not running, even if you're not doing a lot of strenuous activity, just going outside and walking is some of the best exercise that you can get, and that's really enough for most people.
I always like to ask for like one specific health tip.
And I gave you three
Something
specific ones.
you well you did, but more specific than that, is there one thing that you do every day that helps you show up as your best self that you feel like is important?
Sure, absolutely. So I really think it's just the fuel that I put in my body, like the foods that I eat. Excalibar is definitely a big part of my diet. Uh it's definitely a huge part of my diet. But um hey, like if you're eating ice cream for dinner every day, if you're eating if you're eating
Yeah,
I don't
you're gonna
know,
feel terrible.
ramen for lunch, if you're eating chicken biscuits for breakfast, and you have an Excalibar, hey, this is not a get out of jail free car, okay?
Right.
You got to have it all together. So I think diet is the most important. Put good food in your body, and your brain's
Yeah.
gonna run well.
Love that. Awesome. Manny, tell everyone where they can learn more about you, connect with you, find Excalibur, all the good stuff.
Absolutely. So our website is Heaven's Pantry LLC.com. That's Heaven's Pantry LLC.com. You can also, if you go on Heaven's Pantry LLC.com, you can actually find our on the shop page. You can find our Amazon store and use the discount code HP Street 20 upon checkout for 20% off your first order. I really want to give that. I'm a huge try before you buy kind of guy, so I felt that giving the 20% discount on your first box
That's so
was
nice. Thank you.
a great way of helping people determine whether or not they like the product. And if you don't like the product, shoot me a note on our contact form. I would love to speak with you. I'm always looking to make things better. And
As
you can
we know from your role, right? This process automation and improvement. He wants the
absolutely,
feedback. I love it.
I do want the feedback. So you can also follow us on our YouTube channel. Look up Heaven's Pantry. We have a we have a new series called Fresh from the Pantry, and uh, it's where we interview a lot of local entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, and the kinds of people who really jive with our product and are just living their best lives out there. I'm a
Yeah.
huge believer in showcasing local talent. And then thirdly, you can follow us on Instagram at Heaven's Pantry. I really look forward to getting connected with all of you, and let's all stay in touch.
Awesome. I love that so much, Manny. This has been really, really great. Before we go, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
I wanted to ask you, what really motivates you, and what makes you burn with desire for continuing this series, because I can just tell this is a phenomenal series, and if you're
Oh, thank
interested in
you.
having me back again, I would definitely love to participate in future episodes. yeah, like you definitely put something together that's really, really beautiful. I want to know
Oh,
how it,
appreciate that.
like the story of how it occurred.
Yeah, no, you know what? I actually kick off, I think around your episode now, that will be like right around episode 108, you will be. When I started during the pandemic, which was not the plan. We had already planned to launch in April, and then all of a sudden, like, world is getting shut down in March. But actually, episode 1, I dive into that. But basically, my core values, personal core values, are health and happiness. Even though, live my life as a journalist, we have a content marketing agency, but we're storytellers first. So we focus on telling stories that truly connect people in a deep, authentic way. That's important to me, but telling stories also that help people feel healthier and happier in journalism, it tends to make you feel a lot of the opposite, while still important and valid stories. But as I was going through, first initially building this business, I actually ended up going through some autoimmune issues and having a lot of pain. And it was a very scary and stressful time for me. And it made everything very apparent through that experience, and also through leaving local TV journalism, because that was I felt very unhappy in that time, right? And like when you're in kind of stressful, misaligned times, your body like tells you that it's not right, right? Because you go through the anxiety
And
or
I feel like your
whatever
body,
feelings.
with millions and millions of years of evolution, it's really,
Yeah.
like it's really good at telling you when things are wrong. And people, that's also another thing I want to say in terms of health and wellness.
Yeah.
People really have to start like slowing down and like listening to their
Mm-hmm.
body.
Absolutely, because it will tell you when it's like, hey, even if there's a project, something that's coming up that I'm not totally sure about, like kind of listening to your gut, and like if something feels a little bit off, or this person isn't really, the vibe we're looking for, the right fit, your body will tell you when it doesn't really feel right. So I went through that experience and kind of leaving my first career, and then going through some experiences that I couldn't necessarily, hey, control or remove myself, that led to then health issues. And I realized, hey, if we don't have our health, what do we have? We don't have anything. Like that applies to everyone, regardless of what you do, where you live, who you are, how you move through this world. We all have to have our health. So I just wanted to use this as a way to share stories about people who are really making that part of their entrepreneurial business, their journey, how they help others. Because I like what you said. Hey, having these natural ingredients is good for business, and I believe good health is good for business as well.
Absolutely. If we, like the studies have been done by large consultancies. The cost of ill health is actually one of the biggest losses of productivity in our entire nation.
That's
We lose
interesting.
we lose billions of dollars every year off of heart disease, off of you know, off of cancer, off of diabetes, off of obesity, and you know, um, I personally think that viewing like health and wellness should not be viewed as in just like a cost in dollars and cents kind of lens, because it's a
Right.
very personal thing. And
Right. It's
to
different
boil
for
people
everyone.
to boil people down to dollars is very dehumanizing, and that's not how I roll. But
Mm-hmm.
if you really do want to go down that route,
Mm-hmm.
ill health is a multi-billion-dollar catastrophe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's also why here on this show, everyone is coming from different perspectives. Some people have gone through a cancer journey and shared what they've learned through that, and like even started a nonprofit that helps others going through cancer treatment. Some people are all about their meditation. Some people are plant based. Some, like, everyone's coming from a different perspective, which I love, because there's so many different aspects to our health, and like some are going to be right for
Are
you,
you a
some are not.
meditator by any chance?
So I've been trying to, like, I guess I can answer that with a yes. I definitely have. I've been
That's
trying to
great.
like be more consistent. It's one of those things that I like to do it at night, because I've kind of had some issues with sleeping. So for me, I enjoy doing it at that time because it will help my sleep and like kind of just clear my mind at that time. But sometimes I just like end up knocking out and then I don't do it. So I'm trying to be much more intentional with it.
I definitely have a few tips of meditation that I would like to share with the audience today.
Sure.
So when it comes to meditation, right? I think meditation is something that should be purposeful. So for example, let's say you have a particular goal. Sometimes I will literally sit down, shut off all the lights, shut off all the electricity in the room. I will sit in a corner and I will think, okay, I need to, in order to achieve this goal, and it can't be a tactic, it can't be like a little tactical everyday goal. Ideally, it's maybe 2 months out, 3 months out, or even years out. I close my eyes and I imagine myself, sitting in a corner of nothingness, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, to achieve this, I need to achieve this. I need to do this. I need to do this, and then ultimately, by doing these things, it's going to lead to this particular outcome. And my idea of starting out in podcasting came out through meditation. This was definitely an idea that came out to me while I was meditating, and I realized that in order to get my message across to the audience that I want, I needed to create my own podcasts. I needed to share my story on podcasts such as yours.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if there's one thing I really want our audience to remember, is the power of medication, not medication, meditation. Sorry for the slip of the tongue there.
No, all good.
Sorry for the slip of the tongue there, but but definitely meditation. And without meditation, we would not be having this conversation today.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. Yep. I love that. Awesome. Perfect note to end this on.
Absolutely. I really appreciate your time, Tamika.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you, Manny.
let's all stay in touch.
Absolutely. And I'll make sure to include all the links to ExcaliBar, Heaven's Pantry, everything you can find, and to connect with you, of course, as well below. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that chat with Manny. He gave some really great health tips that he practices in his own life that were helpful reminders for me, as well as I hope they work for you. Take time to decompress, have a good diet, and also get outside more. Remember that time during the pandemic when we were all outside walking around all the time? Don't forget to do it, even if you're here in South Florida where it's sweltering. Well, it seems to be sweltering everywhere. But anyways, take some time to take care of yourself. Also, make sure you go below, check out Manny and Heaven's Pantry. All of their information is below in the show notes, so connect with him. And hey, connect with me as well if you haven't already. I'm all the places, but I'd love to see you on LinkedIn. And also hit subscribe on YouTube and turn on those notifications. I'd hate for you to miss out because we come back every other week with new episodes. So until I see you back in 2 weeks, because I know I'll see you then, stay happy, stay healthy.